Yeah, end. No, on the display, hit end. There you go.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:32. Please ask that anyone with their cell phones just put them on mute or vibrate. Can we have a roll call, Charlene?
Absolutely. Bob Zukas,
Here?
Doug Thompson. Here. Brian Stark.
Here.
Christina Cruz.
Here.
Peter Bracci is not here. Is he excused?
He is.
Thank you. Bob Hamilton.
Here.
Greg Tellen.
Here.
I see Darrell Burton is here. Is that Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
Mark Pearson's here. Okay, that's it for us.
All right. Doug, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one city, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Charlene has been so gracious to put all our minutes and everything in here. If you have not had a chance to review them, let me know. Otherwise, in a motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of April 13th, 2021 of the Budget Committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Bob Hamilton seconds. All right. All approved?
Any corrections?
Good?
Aye.
All right. Then, do we have any public comments at this time?
You
Wait a
need
minute.
you need to vote on the minutes.
I'm sorry.
And it's got to be, it's because it's electronic,
And we
it's going
do
to be
have,
a
yes.
roll call. Yeah.
So a roll call vote on that. Thank you.
So this is accepting the minutes. There were no corrections?
Yes, there were no corrections.
I like that.
Nice job.
Good job.
Okay, Bob Zukas.
Yes.
Doug Thompson. Yes. Brian Stack.
Yes.
Christina Cruz.
Yes.
Bob Hamilton.
Yes.
Greg Tellen.
Yes.
Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 0, 0.
All right, moving on to the budget. To any related comments from the public? There are none. Moving on to filling the vacancies. We have, I know we have a little issue on this one here that we might want to discuss. We were going to do a paper ballot and then turn them in that way. We have Brian remotely, so if anybody has any suggestions on how they'd like to proceed in that case, yes, Brian?
So if you do a paper ballot, could I email my responses to Charlene?
Sure.
Well, we could do that, or we can vote, everything goes into an envelope. When are you back in town?
In about an hour or so?
Oh, okay, then the result, yes.
Excuse me, Robert. I believe what Brian's referring to is that he could email it immediately to her. There would be no
Correct.
delay.
Right, I could do it live as everybody's voting, so it would be, yeah.
Okay, that, I don't see any reason why that won't work then. Then absolutely. Charlene, did you have the slips?
I do.
All right, so what we'll be doing is then, all I ask is that you put your initials on the ballot somewhere in the top corner, left corner, so we know where they came from. No, we don't really need the envelopes, I don't think. You can hand those back. You can have them.
Thank you.
And then I ask that you just we're voting for 3. And then as soon as you vote, just turn them into, yes.
Could we just verify that everybody that's voting has actually had an opportunity to look over the letters? Just verify that.
Yes.
Is there anybody that has not seen the letters? All right, they were sent out in advance, so I was hoping people would see them.
I have one other point of order.
Yes.
The selectman representative normally votes based on the decisions that are made by the Board of Selectmen versus making a personal preference. Has he had the opportunity to get input from the rest of the Board of Selectmen as to who they prefer to be on the Budget Committee?
That's not correct.
It hasn't happened.
That is not correct. What you
Okay,
just said is not correct.
okay.
If we have an issue with the budget and we have discussed the budget, then we will represent the budget that we have proposed.
Okay,
And
I'd like
that's
to,
what we're talking about.
I'd like to just refer everybody to the Budget Committee Operating Procedures, paragraph 5. The Board of Selectmen representative votes is based on the budget, the Board of Selectmen position, not the representative's personal preferences.
The RSA does not agree with that bylaw, that policy. The ex-official member of the Budget Committee is a full voting member, and I get to vote for who I want to. I don't have
That's
to
not
have,
what our
I don't have
policy
to have a
says.
discussion, I don't have to have a discussion with the Budget Committee. If I'm representing the Budget Committee, which I'm not representing myself as an individual member, I do not have to do that. If I am representing the position of the Budget Committee with regards to a budget, absolutely, I agree with you. I would represent what the Budget Committee, what the Board of Selectmen has agreed to for a budget.
I'd like to just mention one other thing. Most of this procedure that was made up by a man that served like 30 years on the Budget Committee. This procedure was written by him. He happens to be in this room right now. So if there's a misinterpretation, perhaps we could get input from him.
Okay, so let me see if I'm correct here. You're saying that you feel the Board of Selectmen should have say in who this board elects as members of the board?
No, what I'm saying is that based on our procedure, the Board of Selectmen representative votes based on the Board of Selectmen's position. If
On the
they
budget,
haven't got a
on the
position
budget,
on this,
on the budget. Bob,
it
on the
doesn't say
budget.
that.
That's what it
Doesn't say
means.
that. And all I'm asking is for an interpretation. I'm not saying that you're wrong or I'm wrong. We're looking at it two different ways. And many times in the past, the Board of Selectmen representative has abstained from voting because it hasn't been discussed by the Board of Selectmen and a decision has not been
It
made.
has to do with the budget.
It doesn't
It
interpret
has to
that
do
way.
with the
That's not-
budget. It
That's
does.
not our policy.
I don't care whether it's your policy or not, you got to follow the state law.
Okay, could I see,
Are you
could you
asking,
refer to that state law?
okay, who's the person, you're referring to John?
Yes, I am. He's the one that wrote probably 90% of this policy for the Board of Selectmen, for the Budget Committee. So perhaps he,
If you
I would
want
appreciate some of his.
If you want to get technical, Bob, because John is running for a position, that's a conflict of interest.
I don't think he would,
That is definitely a
It
conflict
is
of
a
interest.
conflict of interest.
okay.
That's,
Okay.
unfortunately, that's where
Okay.
that would lie. That-
I'm just making a point of order. If anybody else would like to chip in their opinion, then that's fine. If not, I'll let it rest.
Okay?
Is anybody on the board here feel that there's an issue with Greg voting without it having to go through the budget committee. I mean, the Board of Selectmen.
I don't feel it's an issue, but I think we should take clarification for future reference if nothing else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just happens once, it's gonna happen a second time.
All right, well, then we're going to proceed with the vote and fill it out. I'll have Charlene collect them, and then we'll get the results and notify him right now.
Do we just put a check or an X or,
You could circle a name.
okay.
Bob, if you could just let Charlene know, I did email her my votes.
Okay, Charlene? I'm supposed to do what? Oh, that Bob, I'm sorry.
Wrong Bob.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess we're all set.
All right,
Would you like me to collect them, Charlene? I don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Charlene. What's that? Do you mind? He sent you an
You an email, so it's on your, probably on your phone.
Everybody's got your email.
Oh, we got your number, yes. Yeah, every time you send them any,
I know, I just didn't even think about it.
I'm just.
Duh. Okay, I see it, Brian.
While she's tabulating those, we also need to think about who would like to be an alternate member for the CIP, fill some of the vacancies with, in these other groups.
Bob, it may be prudent to wait until we get new members to see if there's new members that want to.
I'm sorry?
It might be prudent to wait till we have the new members. to
Oh, yeah,
fill
no,
those
I'm just saying,
positions.
while she's tabulating them, just think about if the CIP or whoever, if you were interested in being an alternate on any of the other boards, that's all. Because we will be looking for volunteers.
Okay,
Okay,
you want it?
please.
You want me to read it out, or you want it?
Yes, well, you're more than welcome to read it.
Katie Knudsen, Richard Anthony, and Phil Spitaleri.
Congratulations.
Those are your three. Congratulations. All right, we will have, I think at this point now, we have them sworn in by the town clerk. All right, is that what,
Or if you wanted to, I could swear them in.
okay, well, then we'll,
But all we need is the oath of office, which we
Is the
don't
what?
have, but the oath of office to give them to
Yep.
repeat to them. I can look it up real quick.
Thank you, John, for your interest.
yes, thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Julie.
So we'll have, we'll notify Richard Anthony that he was, I said, we will announce, we'll notify Richard Anthony that he was appointed as a member of the Budget Committee.
Yep.
And then we can have him sworn into oath of office at the town, with the town clerk.
Okay.
And that will conclude the members.
Okay.
Bear with us, he's looking for the oath of office.
Tell you what, I have it in my car, in my selectmen's book. I'll run out in the car and get it.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, then what we'll do is, while we're doing that, we'll go over the meeting and department presentation schedule.
Bob, I have the oath of office if you want me to email it to someone.
He's going out to the car
Yeah, he just
now,
grabbed
yeah.
it out of his car.
Okay.
That's where he went to grab it. All right, so the meeting and department presentation schedule, once we know when the actual budgets have been completed and they're available to us, at that point, we can set up the presentation. But tonight, I'm more than happy to entertain some kind of an idea of who you'd like to go first. Obviously, the easiest way to proceed would be to go with the departments that are usually the easiest to go, that have the least amount of things line items you have to go through. It's much easier with the smaller ones and move them through than and later on, as you get further in, the police department, the fire department, some of your larger ones, maybe highway, as you get a little further in. But I think until we're actually into the budget, until the Board of Selectmen have approved the budget and moved it on to us, there really isn't a whole lot that, by bringing the heads in is going to accomplish if things are being still shuffled around. So I know in the idea of trying to get things done early or to get a jump on this, if we could then address some of the earlier, some of the easier ones, line items. We all got a copy of last year's budget, so that'll give you an idea of what you want to, what we want to start with. All right, can we have Phil and Katie up here, please?
Say aye, state your name. Do solemnly and sincerely swear. And affirm that I will bear faith and true allegiance. To the United States of America. And the state of New Hampshire. And will support the Constitution thereof. So help me God. I do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm. That I will faithfully and impartially discharge. And perform all the duties. Incumbent upon me. As a member of the Budget Committee. For the town of Plaistow. According to my best abilities. Agreeable to the rules and regulations. Of this Constitution. And the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you both.
Katie? Why don't you sit there?
Yep,
Or Peter's stuff?
yep.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. All right, we have 2 vacancies to fill on, as alternates for the CIP committee and the town report. Was there any interest in someone sitting on the CIP committee, which is,
Right now, the CIP is me and Brian Stack, I believe.
yes. So that fills those 2.
I think you need one alternative, John.
Right. And then, how about the town report?
So you need a CIP
believe-
and town report?
What it is, pardon me?
I'm sorry, are you talking about the alternate position?
Yeah.
Okay, because I believe that the Christine was elected, took the membership for that.
Correct.
Okay, good. So the town report is creating the actual report of all of the reports of the town, the financial reports, the reports of all the individual departments. And we are responsible primarily coming up with a theme and a dedication. Most of the work is done by DVOS, pulling all the information from the individual departments.
You can put me on that.
All right, that fills those positions. So back to what we were discussing about the meetings with the department presentation schedule and with the heads. Again, like I was saying, it's, right now, we're not anywhere near the point where they would even begin to be ready. We would hope that late September, early October, at the very earliest, you may start being able to get the heads in to go over them, their budgets, if that's what you chose. If there were budgets you wanted to have the heads in. I'm not really sure if we really need to have every head of every department in, but as a board, that's, your decision, who you'd like. Was there any discussion on who you were thinking first? Yes, Bob?
I was under the impression at our last meeting on the 13th of April that Greg was saying that the Board of Selectmen is going to be starting the first week of October to review budgets, and you're going to be doing it for 3 weeks, correct?
Are you asking
3
a
or 4
question?
weeks.
Are you asking a question? I'm sorry, Bob, are you asking a question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
So yes, as soon as we receive the budget from the town manager, which I believe will be in the very beginning of October, we will, at the same time, offer that to the chair of the budget committee, and he could share it with the rest of the members. So you'll have the same budget that we have, and any changes that the Board of Selectmen makes, which are typically pretty nominal, will be passed to the chair as well, so to get you updated. So you would be able to work on something at the same time that we do.
Okay. Now, in the past, what we've done is we've been a week's delay from what was done by the Board of Selectmen. So we had a week to kind of look over the material and then have a meeting and discuss it. That also gives us an opportunity to invite, I would assume, department heads to review their budget with us as well. The larger department heads like police and fire and highway department and so on. Rec usually did in the past. So we could just kind of piggyback with the Board of Selectmen like we used to do. We're just a week behind them, that's all. And my thought was the first week of October for us would be October 4th, if they, in fact, get kicked off based on their anticipated schedule. We could have the fire department and the library come in and review their budgets with us, because those are two that usually in the past have presented budgets to us, or at least came forth and allowed us to ask questions and that type of thing. So we could actually get started the same week they do without interfering with their schedule by having the police and fire department come in, the library and the fire department come in and give their budgets. I discussed it with them because I worked with them in the past as a chair. They're normally ready by the first part of October, so the scheduling part of it is not an issue for them. And that's what I'm recommending. That way we can get started early, about the same time that they are, 1st of October. And
We could do that. We could also give them a week to get going and schedule it for the following Tuesday, the 11th. That would allow them, I mean, I would hate to see us have a meeting scheduled for the 4th, and for some unseen reason, they don't get the budget. Now we're canceling the meeting and coming in the following week to continue. Yes, Christine?
I think it'd be a good idea to probably ask town manager what his timeline is for his department heads to submit their budget to him. I know that in the past, I believe it's been the end of August. Is that right, Mark?
Yes.
So I think with having so many new people, it would make sense for us to be able to look at the budget that we currently have, create questions so that we can submit it to the Board of Selectmen and/or the town manager, to have those kind of questions set forth already in the department head's mind. Then we don't have to take so long to like go line by line each item, because we have those answers already ahead of time. It just kind of, I think, will alleviate a lot of stress when you're coming to a large budget like police and fire.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I was hoping that.
So I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And then that way, the Board of Selectmen can get those answers, and we'll have them that night.
Right. Because any questions that we submit, any questions that we have for the department heads, we'll want them in advance so that they can be sent to the head, so that the information will be gathered at the point. Yes, Mark?
So I'm confused. What I heard Christina say was the department heads have their budget in by the end of August. And then I'm confused from that point on, because the Board of Selectmen doesn't receive the town manager's recommended budget till the first week in October. So did I miss something there?
So I guess what I was saying, Mark, is that we currently have the 2021 budget. So where there are so many budget committee members that are new to budget committee, we'd at least be able to have a working session where we could ask questions, so that while the budget was being developed, the department heads could at least understand where we're coming from and what questions we may or may not have, so they'd be able to anticipate that. Just allowing the department heads the ability to be able to have it, first before they get called into.
So what you're recommending is more of a workshop for,
Correct.
say, the month of September, so that you can acquaint board members with the department head and understand their budgets in
Absolutely.
anticipation of asking some more particular questions perhaps later on.
Absolutely.
Okay, I understand it now. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
But how will you be able to ask pertinent questions if we don't have the actual budget?
Well, we have the 2021 budget.
Yeah.
So, so there may be items that when you're looking at this year's budget, that we would have questions on.
Okay.
I think it would help the department heads to not have a million things going on. When they're working on their budget, I can speak from experience, you're kind of zoned in on the budget. If you know what's being asked and you receive an email, we email Mark emails the department head, and it goes back to us, at least we have that answer. Because it could be something very simplistic for them, like, I can tell you a lot of question I got was, why don't you have a lot of money spent when I was the recreation director? Well, because recreation has a lot of fourth quarter expenditures. If you're a new budget committee member, you don't know that. So to you, it would look like, well, recreation isn't expending their funds. But in effect, they have a lot of programs that happen in that last quarter. So I think things like that, like just logistical things, would be really beneficial for all of us to be able to know ahead of time prior to having the department heads come in and
All right, well, then we could make it the last Tuesday of September as a start. Is that work? Would that give us enough time to at least get started on the two that we, or the first couple that we want to start with? I mean, looking at the budgets, which, by the way, Katie and Phil will get you a copy of these documents that they're discussing right now, that were in our first folders. We'll get you copies of.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Do you have the books there?
Yes.
yes, we do. Yes.
Is it in there?
Yes. Everything it's referring to is in the
Take them on your
book.
way out.
So, yeah, so what we'll do is, we'll get everybody a copy. Thanks, Greg. The town offices have worked to, town hall, the selectmen, the town manager has helped to
Thank
get
you.
us all this organized with Beth and everyone else in town as administrators, have put together a book that is yours to take with you and bring back each time you come. We'll have a 3-hole punch available for you, so that any minutes or anything else you want to put in there, you can. You can take the time to look through it. The nice thing about these books are the basic laws of budgeting are in here. Also, the PowerPoint from the presentation that was done at the town garage, if anybody was unable to make it there. But you'll see in here is a copy of the summaries of the budget of each of the department's budgets. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to make things easier to keep together. Yes, Daryl?
Mr. Chairman, could I make a request that I get a book also?
Yes, I will request that there's also a book sent to him.
3 more there?
Yes, there is.
My chairman's treating me like the adopted redheaded stepchild.
Well, I didn't want to point that out publicly, but,
Yeah, thank you.
yes.
This is excellent. Thank
Yes.
you. This is excellent.
Thank you, Mark.
you,
And
Mark.
all his staff.
This is
for putting
Thank you,
it
Mark.
together. That's,
How many more are there?
Yes.
Well, I actually want to thank Mr. Zukas because this was actually his idea and he assisted us with what he thought that the rest of the committee wanted. So I just want to thank the chairman for working on, helping us to accommodate any of the board concerns that he thought the board should have. So if you need anything else, please let the chairman know and he will let us know.
all right. So now that we have this will make things a lot easier too. Like I said, to keep things together, we'll know where they are. You won't be thumbing through the pages. So is it the consensus of the board that they would like to start with fire department and library first, as being 2 of the budgets? It shouldn't take long to go through the libraries, I wouldn't think, but I would think that the fire department is going to be a pretty large one. Yes, Daryl?
Just from past experience anyways, we always found that and I'm not talking recent experience, but past experience, we always found that we left a night for the fire department, a night for the police department, and usually a night for the highway department, because they were so big that we didn't want to make anybody wait or sit around. It was easier just to encumber those 3 big ones in one night each.
Well, yes. Yes, Bob?
One of the things that I wanted to mention to the committee is the fact that Chief Knudsen and our library director has invited us to a tour on Saturday, the 25th of September or 24th? 25th of September. And that would kind of give us a heads up also, a little bit more information and preparation. By seeing their facility and seeing their equipment and having an opportunity to discuss what equipment needs to be replaced and how it affects the budget and and as well as warrant articles, I think that gives us an excellent start also on those two budgets. And we would be able to get them both out of the way in one evening, the library and the fire department, especially by piggybacking them with a Saturday tour for those of us that can attend. We're just talking about an hour on Saturday morning for each tour, starting perhaps at the library and then getting us over to the fire department and having an hour tour there. That helps move everything along, and I think it's an exceptionally good idea this year, considering all the new members we have. And that gets them familiar with,
Are you available on Saturdays?
September, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just asking because I work every Saturday, so I would,
Available on Saturdays,
Okay.
I know in advance.
okay.
it can be another day, but
So
Saturday was.
I don't have a problem with that. That would, we absolutely can put that down for the tour and then make that Tuesday our day to have,
Tuesday,
what's that?
the following Tuesday.
Yes, to bring the members, the board, the heads in. But again, that would mean that we would have to have questions submitted before they were to show up. So that's the only issue we run into. The questions need to be submitted a week in advance to the board, to the head members that are coming in. What we do is we will submit them to Mark, and Mark get them to the board heads, the heads of each department, I mean. And then at that point, when the department heads come in, they'll already have the information and the questions that we're going to ask of them. We're not, to eliminate the back and forths, we will not be sending questions over to Mark. Mark will send it to them. They'll come back to Mark. What we're going to try this year is to submit the questions in advance, at least a week in advance, a couple weeks in advance, whatever we're going to do. Once we have the schedule, we'll send the questions over. Mark can then present them to his department heads. The department heads will come in with already knowing what questions, what information we're looking of them, and that will help facilitate this to go a lot smoother when the heads come in, okay? I know we submitted questions back and forth last time, but that was only because we weren't bringing in department heads of every department. So if there are no questions for a department head, then there's really no need to bring them in if we have nothing to ask of them. Okay? Yes.
The two recommendations. One, I think it would be worthwhile if we could get the town manager to provide the 11 by 17 sheets for each of the departments for this year's budget. And that way, the members can look at that, and they can look at each of the line items. And if they don't understand what the line item is for or what it is used for, as what Christine was saying, you could collect those questions early, and we could get them answered just by referring them to Mark or referring them to Greg Kobe. So that would help the process of learning what a department looks like and what's in that department. Very first questions I had when I was in the budget committee is, what is this department for? You know, other government buildings, what is that for? What does that cover? So those kinds of questions for new members would be helpful. And just getting a copy of the, whatever it is, 26 pages or something, that they could have that.
We can get those copies of the budget, the 11 by 17s.
Yep.
I'll request that we get those copies of the 2020 budget. If you could see if they could grab those for us. And then we'll have those, well, we'll get them for our first meeting.
Yep.
Is the best that we'll be able to do at that point. But with knowing that we're going, is everybody comfortable with the library and the fire department in one night? That is the fire department can be a long night. So, and I'm not sure, there are several questions on the library also that we may be asking. So it could be, we may be better off with two smaller ones for the first night.
I like that idea. Going to two smaller ones, there's no harm.
I don't see why we can't do a night for the fire department, a night for the police, and the night for the highway, because those can run very long evenings. And I don't, each member their time is very important too. I don't want to drag out somebody waiting, and I don't want a long night. I mean, yes.
I agree. The other one that takes time is rec, oftentimes, because they have different programs that they want to tell us about that has affected their budget. So if we are able to take care of the library and the fire department that first week in October, then we just need one, and we got all of those covered in that 4-week period. We got one night for the police department, one night for the highway department, and one night for rec, for example.
Right. Yes, Phil?
Typically, how long does a library presentation take? I mean, it seems like it doesn't take as long, obviously, as the other.
Typically an hour.
About an hour?
Well, yeah.
We'll let them go first, I assume?
well,
Rather than
you
have
would.
them wait through the fire
You
department?
obviously would. But depending on what I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know what people have questions for the library. Last year, it went very quickly over the library budget. This year, it may not. A lot of questions, So, that's why I'm saying it's just how long do we want to run the meeting for? I'd like to keep it down to a few hours each night. We don't want to be here 9, 10 o'clock at night, still going over a budget.
I agree.
So, that was the other reason why I asked that we go to smaller ones, yes.
But I think the tour is a key here. That Saturday morning tour is a key to get, to make the budget presentation a little bit more efficient. I mean, I feel very confident that if we have the tour and then the budget presentation, it'll go relatively quickly.
That is up to the board. If they want to entertain doing both of them the same night,
So, Bob, a third alternative would be to pick one of the smaller budgets, cover that first, should take a very, very short period of time, and then schedule only one large.
well,
and
that's what I
that
was
would-
just saying.
That would give you like two
Those three
knocked out.
departments. That's what I was just saying, that your 3 departments you'll want to give a night to, so that if it does run extensive, long, I mean, think of it this way, if the library takes us an hour and the fire department takes us 2.5 hours or 3 hours, let's say, depending on what we get for an answer, even after a tour, you're now talking 4 hours, 3.5 hours, 9:30, you're at 9:30, yes.
In my experience, it's not going to take that long for the fire department. It may take an hour and a half, but I don't see it going beyond that. I just don't. I
Well,
think,
that's up to the board. If, as far as I'm concerned, yes, Phil.
Is this something that has to get wrapped up in one night, or if we start running late, can we say,
No,
let's
we're
adjourn
not-
for the evening and?
No, we won't bring them back a second time. We're going to wrap it up in one night. We're not going to go back and forth with department heads. We typically do it, one night. That's why we try to give them each their own night. That way, we can discuss it and go over, hear what the presentation is, and, get our questions answered and go from there, yes.
Are we assuming that all department heads are coming in?
No, I'm not, I don't feel that every department head has to come in. I mean, if there are questions for department head, absolutely. I don't see a problem with that, but for the departments that you really don't have a lot of questioning for, no, we can,
So if we did our due diligence and had a work session where we could submit questions to the town manager prior to, we'd at least be able to know what departments we're looking to have come in and then be able to schedule them. Because
absolutely.
as of it is right now, we could have only questions for police and fire and nobody else, and we'd only have to schedule 2.
So are you suggesting that our first meeting be a work session where we decide who's going to come in when?
I think that we need to have a work session prior to the budgeting process where we can at least ask questions and submit them to the town manager so that we all know what our questions are going to be. And if we get clarification from, let's say, the health department, then that means the health department head doesn't need to come in. And we can just go over her budget and then make the vote.
Right, every question.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that's-
yeah, we don't have to have the heads to come in
Right.
to answer the questions unless there's a whole lot of questions that we feel we need to have the
So it's
head
kind-
come in. Exactly.
So it's kind of a moot point to discuss the schedule at this point until we know what departments, how many of the departments we want to actually see,
Absolutely.
in my opinion.
Initial start date.
Right, exactly.
Then we can make it the, well, let's make the first, the last Tuesday of September. That way, at that point, we'll also have an idea where they are in the budget, if it is going to be ready that first week of October. If we have a better idea whether or not it'll be ready, if they are running, things are running a little slower, that's okay. We'll at least know that in advance, and we won't be scheduling a meeting for the first October. We could have the second week, and that way we're not canceling and things like that. That would be good. So, so the first Tuesday is the 28th, am I correct?
Town manager has a question.
Yes, Mark?
It's not a question, just a statement. I will be on schedule, on time, with the town manager's budget. You can count on it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. There you
That
go.
alleviates everything. There you go.
So our work session on the 28th will be at 6:30. We'll meet. We'll discuss we'll be able to go over we'll have an idea, what groups we'd like to address first. We can get several smaller ones. We can go with the one large one, whatever the questions, we'll see, at least have an idea how many questions are out there. And that way, it'll make it a lot easier for us to determine who we'd like to bring in. If there's still a lot of questions raised with fire, then, even after the tour, we'll know exactly if we have a lot of questions, and we can schedule them for the first weekend of October to go first, if that's what the group so chooses.
Great.
Yes.
So once the work session is done and you know the questions that are coming up or the departments that are going to need to be discussed, I would be very comfortable having both the chair and the vice chair decide some type of draft of how we plan to go through all these departments and present that to the board. We don't need to have a discussion about which one we're going to see first. I think
Right.
after you find out which ones have questions on it, you guys could decide and then present that as the agenda for the meeting.
Absolutely.
Would other people feel comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes? All right. Then we'll handle it that way. Works.
Okay, works for me.
And, yeah. So, our next meeting is going to be the 28th at 6:30 for the work meeting, okay? If there's nothing else under the presentation schedule, we'll move on to old business. We had email discussions and in reference to discussions back and forth in the right to know. We have in our binder is a lot of information on emails going back and forth. If it goes to more than, if you pass it on, say you talk to two people on the board through an email, and that email gets forwarded to someone else, and they discuss it amongst a couple, you've now had a meeting. So, to refrain from sending emails out, reply alls, no more, don't hit reply alls, don't do any of that. We need to refrain from emailing conversation, having email conversations. But as again, it's pretty much, I don't need to beat that up. That's in the notebook. It tells you what's acceptable, what's not, and what can get us in trouble. So I always say, when in doubt, don't do it. The Plaistow's monthly financial reports, I'm going to work on getting those put in as they come out. We'll get those in your folders as they become available. You can then put a 3-hole punch in and look at what the funds are coming in. I know there were some questions last year of where's the money going that comes in. And that kind of give you an idea, when they ask for a budget, what kind of income they're already getting and what they're spending. So that will be, I think that'll be very helpful to the board to at least have an idea how the money flow works to each department. Any questions? Yes, Bob?
When do you expect we'll start receiving them?
Mark, when's the soonest we could start seeing monthly financial reports?
Well, they're already in the notebook for the first quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, they're in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And then,
thank you.
and then we will continue to supplement with giving you the monthly. And also to the point that you just spoke about, Mr. Chairman, about the revenues, there's a tab in your book that says revenues. So you can go through the revenues. And just a quick point, the revenues don't go to people's budgets. The revenues go to the general fund. But you can at least see the revenues coming into the general fund that are coming in, that's an offset for that department.
All right. So, yes,
Just clarification. Will we be receiving these now? We're not going to meet again until September, correct? Unless it's a training session or something. So will we be receiving these by email or?
well,
So, Mr. Chairman, I can probably answer it, or suggest, and I know Charlene, I can't see her, but she's there, I'm sure she's listening. What we could simply do is use Charlene as the conduit to make sure that she has the master copy, if you will, and then she could come into town hall, make the copies, and then distribute them to each member in the form that they would like, whether it's electronic or a paper copy. That's just my suggestion, unless you have a different option.
that would work if everybody has the capability of printing them and putting them in their notebook. If not, you would need to let Charlene know that you would need a hard copy. They can be put aside here at the town hall, and you can pick them up at your leisure.
Okay.
And that way,
Either way.
it would reduce the paper flow. But there will not be extra copies made sitting, waiting for every member. They'll be electronic unless someone otherwise requests it, okay?
Electronic is fine with me.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All right, does anybody have some new business they would like to discuss? All right, again, I'd like to welcome Phil and Katie. Thank you for volunteering your time. And I'm looking forward to Richard getting sworn in. We'll get a notification out to Richard that he'll need to stop by the town hall to be sworn in. And again, Julian, I'd like to thank you for throwing your hat in the ring. And I think if not, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Who was it? I'm sorry, I missed it totally.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Doug made the motion.
Doug made the motion,
That's what I missed.
Yeah, I'll second.
and everybody seconded it. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.